You're welcome once again. Um, Today is our first official meeting. We've met once, but it was not an official meeting for this class. So today, we would like to start everything from the introduction of PHP. Then we'll try to build upon each and every stage that we learn. We'll try to increase our knowledge in it. So what we learn today, based on it, we will improve upon it the next day and again till we get to know what we can use PHP to do. Um, let's take a quick view of PHP. Please hope we've been able to install the XAMPP.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's try to a quick recap on what PHP is and what it can do. So we want to address ourselves with a little intro, then we'll get things started. So the last time that we met, I tried to explain a little thing about PHP. I'll go over again today. So let's talk PHP. So when we talk of PHP, what exactly is PHP? What it is meant by to say PHP. So PHP is an acronym for hypertext preprocessor. It's an acronym as the hypertext preprocessor. Um, Preprocessor. Um, like this. Yeah. So this PHP, it's an open source. It's an open source language, open source scripting language, meaning that we can even write our own. And again, it's widely used. PHP is widely used by most of the people. Even if he doesn't write the PHP codes, he uses the PHP frameworks, which is similar to writing this PHP codes. And also, PHP scripts are executed on the server. So we tried to find out what a server was, and we came to across that we have two types of servers. That's the online and then the offline type of server. So the exam that we installed on our machine locally is a typical example of an offline server. And then the one that we host in our servers, the database that we have it in our online servers. When I talk about online servers, we have servers that are online. So most of the website that we run that takes our data in the rest, it uses online server. That's why you can access it everywhere that you go. But with the local one, you can access it only on your laptop or computer that you are using. So
May I know uh, the server? What about if the laptop that you are using, I mean the offline, is all every day online active? Can it be accessed elsewhere?
no, the online server does not. Um, let's take for example your local server that you've created. That's the local host that you've installed. That's the exam that you've installed. Since the database and the files are being kept on your machine, we can't access it unless you try to upload your information into an online server. Then that everyone can access it everywhere. But for the
Okay.
local one, you can access it only on the machine that you've installed the server on and the files. So if someone can use that same piece of information, unless you give that person a copy of the file that you are using. So if it contains the database, you will include the database plus the file that you are using before the person can also use. But for the online, we have only one database and then one file, but it can be accessed on every machine, being a computer, phone, based on how the person try to design his or her website.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So when we talk of PHP file can contain HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then the PHP codes. So when we talk of a PHP file, when I create a file and I save it with extension .php, it becomes a PHP file. So inside that file, I can have um, this example of codes, this codes inside that file. So I can have a PHP file, but it will contain only HTML codes. I can have a PHP file which contains only CSS, and I can have a PHP file which contains JavaScript. But there you have to always define um, it before you can use the CSS. Because it's not a CSS file, you have to always put it in a style tag before you can use the CSS. So let's try to see what we can use PHP to do. Um, we can use PHP to create a dynamic page content. So for example, we have, um, let's take Facebook for example. We can go there, upload our image, and after uploading immediately, we can see our image being displayed. And we can have the same file, but we have several users who are using the same piece of code that they've written, but it gives each and everyone different information altogether. And please hope you get me.
Yes. So it can create dynamic what?
Page content. So I can create one PHP file, but if you access, you can see your name there. If I try to access, I can see my name on that page. Meanwhile, it contains the same, or we are all accessing from the same file, PHP file. Please do get me.
Okay. Yes, I'm
That's why I'm
following.
using Facebook, for example. Facebook has only one, let's say one script. But when you log in with your credentials and it opens, it gives you your name, then your, let's say your profile picture. If you upload some there, it gives you your profile picture and information regarding to you. And if a different person tries to also access it, it gives that person's his or her name, then his profile picture, then information pertaining to that person.
Okay.
So we can use PHP to do that. And we can use PHP to create, open, read, write, and delete and close files. When I talk of file, we can have HTML file, we can have text file. So we can use PHP to open them, try to read from that file. And also we can edit it so that we can write inside, delete, and the rest. And we can use PHP to collect form data. So we've used HTML and CSS plus JavaScript to design a nice form to collect information from the users. We can use this PHP to receive those information that the person enters. Then we try to process it. So with that information, we can add it to a database, we can delete, and we can also modify the database. So if we take the person's information from the HTML form, we can use this PHP to save the information that the person has given us. And if the person wants to delete it, and we can give that person the opportunity to delete what he or she have entered, depending on how you want your application to run.
Okay.
And we can also use PHP to control user access. When I say user access, for example, we can have a site. Okay, let me try to bring it down. When I talk of access, I'm trying to talk of authentication and authorization. We want to allow only people who are supposed to access a particular information to get to see, not any third party person. So I have a piece of information and I want only a particular group of people to see. I can use PHP to do that, to restrict
Okay.
other people from seeing that piece of information. So for example, is the login system. The person tried to implement a login system. So when you try to enter your information and they are not correct, it will tell you that maybe you are not authorized to use that system, or it will not give you access to that information that you want to view. And we can also use PHP to encrypt data. So with the information given to us, we can use password PHP to encrypt information such as credit card pins, um, let's say passwords and the rest. You can use PHP to do that. And as we said, PHP also runs on the various platforms. So we have the can run on the Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac OS, and different. So that's why we have the MAM. That's the different types examples of servers that we have the MAM, WAMP, then the LAMP, then the XAMPP. We may have different types of servers, but these are the very common one that we see. And it also supports wide range of databases. So let's try to quickly learn how we can turn on our XAMPP and where we're supposed to save our XAMPP, our PHP information in order to get it running. So let's quickly move to our start menu and let's try to search for XAMPP.
So, sir, you said information on PHP can only run on a server.
Yeah, it runs on a server, then displays the outcome in the normal text for us to see it on the browser. I don't know if you get me. It runs on a server, then tries to bring the results in a plain text for us to see. Please, so do you understand?
Okay.
So it's PHP codes is executed on the server, and the result is returned to the browser as a plain HTML text for us to see, because the browser does not understand PHP codes. The browser does not understand PHP codes. So the server that runs it then try to display it for the browser to interpret for the browser to tell us what you're supposed to do. So let's quickly click on the start menu. If you've installed it, then search for XAMPP. Someone may type it here, but will not be able to see it at this place. So you can see I have XAMPP control panel. So I click on it. Okay. Bye. Minimize it. Okay, so this is my XAMPP control panel. So for those that cannot see this at the start menu, um, you try to open your file. Let's open to a file. Then you try to navigate to where we installed our server. Um, okay, this is mine. So we try to navigate to where we try to install. So mine is at the local the C. Mine is at the
Is
local
it
the
open it? So is it open it? That's where you do this, or after opening it, then you go to the local drive C.
So for those that couldn't see this at the start menu at this place,
Okay, okay,
those couldn't see this, where they can find this that I'm trying to show. So go to start. Mine is at the local this.
okay.
So I'll try to open it. Then after opening it, you see XAMPP. XAMPP. So you try to open the XAMPP. Inside the XAMPP, you scroll to the down part, the downwards, depending on the arrangement. So this is the XAMPP that I'm talking about. You try to open it. Okay. So after opening it, we can see we have XAMPP start, XAMPP stop, then XAMPP control. So you click on the XAMPP control to have this, um, to have this control panel. So for our tutorials, you'll be using the Apache and then the MySQL. These are the two things that you will need for our tutorials. So I'll quickly start this one, then I'll start the MySQL as well. And please hope you get me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so after starting this, you can close it or minimize it. So we have it here. So inside this XAMPP folder, we have another folder called the htdocs. htdocs. So um, this is the folder. There is it. So inside this folder is where we will store all our HTML files inside this folder. So I can quickly open it to see. So inside this folder, then we can save it here, anywhere here, or we can create a folder. Then we try to keep our files inside. So let me try to create a folder. So let me name it PHP tutorials like this. So this is the name of the folder that I've created. I'll store all our tutorials inside this folder. So let's quickly move back again to look at something. Okay, so starting from our C drive here to XAMPP and then to our htdocs folder is what we refer to as the local host. So starting from this PC, then local disk C, then XAMPP folder, then the last one, that is the htdocs, is what we refer to as the local host. So if you want to run a PHP file within this folder, so instead of typing this PC, local disk C, XAMPP htdocs, then the file name .php, we use localhost to refer to those um, file destination. So let's try to create a new file and let's store it inside the PHP tutorials folder. So save as. So the save as. First, I'll locate my XAMPP folder, which is inside the local disk C, then XAMPP folder, then htdocs. So I have my PHP tutorials here. So inside this folder, I'll name it as, let's say, first or intro. Let me use the word intro. So intro, that's the introduction dot php. So I make sure my save as type is at all so that the file extension .php will work. So I save it. So this is now called the PHP file. So inside this folder, you have the introduction.php. So this is the PHP file. So with this file, it can contain HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other codes. Okay, so let's try. As we are starting, um, we learn how to talk like as a normal human being. If we have a child or we have a newborn baby, the person tries to, you try to introduce the person to the world. So you see that most of the programming language introduction, they'll try to tell something like hello world, meaning they are trying to introduce you to the new course that you are doing. So how do we display information inside the browser? How do we then display information? Sometimes we would like to display information on the browser. How do we do it? And how do we even try to, um, as HTML, we have the basic structure of HTML page. What are the structures do we have for PHP? So if you want to begin with a PHP script, we use the less than, question mark, then PHP, then question mark again, then greater than. So in between the PHP and then the second question mark is where we will type our PHP codes. And please hope you understand.
So go over again.
As HTML, when we want to begin an HTML page, we use the basic structure, that's the HTML like this, the doc type HTML. So we know this is the basic structure of an HTML page. If you want to write
Okay.
an HTML code, you need to put down this before we can start. Just
Okay.
as well as in PHP or in PHP, if you want to begin or you want to start to write a PHP code, you have to start with the less than, question mark, PHP, then question mark again, then greater than. So inside this, um, in between the PHP and then the second question mark is where we will type our PHP codes. And also PHP codes too can be written anywhere inside our PHP our page. So we can write PHP codes inside HTML page. You can write PHP codes inside an HTML page by just introducing um, the the basic structure. That's the less than question mark PHP question mark greater than.
Okay.
You can do that with it. So um, let's move back to the PHP. And so we are trying to display information inside the browser. So how do we then do that? So we have two ways of doing that. We can use the word echo, and we can also use the word print to display something on the web page. So you can use echo like this. Then some may decide to put it inside this bracket, or they may decide to take it off. Each and other way is being accepted.
But I said, after typing my own echo, I saw ARGL.
ARGL.
ARG 111.
Echo then ARG1 like this.
Yes.
Inside
In a
a double
yes,
quote.
in a bracket. Yes, sir.
Okay, it's nothing very serious. Sometimes there's please, are you using Sublime Text?
Yes, I'm using Sublime Text.
Sometimes the Sublime Text tries to um, make your work easy. So
Okay, okay,
you can see that
okay, sir.
when I try to type um, echo like this, automatically it pops up with a double quote, then string, meaning that you can enter a string inside. This string is a
Okay,
data type. You get to that place not soon, so don't be confused. So you are trying to display something inside the browser.
okay,
So that's what we should take in mind. So we can put the bracket. Then we can use double quote, double quote, or single quote. So single quote like this, or double quote. So sometimes the information that you pass it inside will determine whether to use a single quote or a double quote. So you can use the single quote or the double quote. And also you can decide to take off this bracket. Then you can type whatever that you want to display inside the browser. So something like this. Hello world, like this. So this one will display hello world inside our browser. So let me open my browser again. Or let me go back to the folder. So let me open this file. Open with, so I open it in the browser so that we can see how and what we can do. Mm, okay, so I have more app. Um, let me choose a browser. Okay, so let me quickly move um, my C drive. I want to open it inside. So um, Google, Google is not here. Okay, so I have Google, so Chrome application. Okay, I can now open it inside the browser. Okay, so there is it. So please, hope you can see this.
Yes, sir. I've gotten it.
So because um, the browser does not understand the word echo, and so it's trying to display what we've typed for us back, but we wanted to see hello world, not the less than question mark PHP and the rest. So, so from the URL, we can see that file, then C drive, XAMPP folder, ht docs folder, then PHP tutorials folder. Then we have the introduction.php. So as I said,
Yes.
so starting from the files up to the htdocs folder is what we refer to as the local host. So you take off that part, then you type localhost. Please, are you following?
I should type localhost.
Take off from the
Yeah,
file
you
up,
said I should type localhost.
yes, localhost.
Okay.
After that, you click on enter. Then we have our work being executed. So
Uh,
we can see we have hello world being displayed.
okay. Okay. Okay.
So with this, we can see that our PHP code is running from the
Okay.
server. That's the local
All
host.
right, sir.
So if you've not started your server, it will pop up error, or it wouldn't even execute. It will show
Okay.
me something like a page error. So let's move
Okay.
to the next part, which is the print. So you can also use print like this. So with the print, you can see that we have the ARG as you said. So
Yeah.
this meaning what you want to display. So you can add the argument. So I can print, let me use the single quote. You can print hello world as well. Or I can, let me take it off. Let me write something like welcome to PHP like this. Then, and also bear in mind that in any PHP script that we write, you have to end it with a semicolon. You have to end it with a semicolon, otherwise it will show as error. So let's save it and try to display it in the browser. So after running, so you can see that hello world, welcome to PHP. These are the two basic way we can display information on our
Why that there is no space between the welcome and the word?
yeah. Mm, let's take PHP is something like an inline this thing. It tries to display them in an inline form unless you try to break them.
Sir, what of if we use a print line?
Print line.
Yeah, in VB, we used to use a print line to separate two words together.
Yeah, we can use that.
Okay.
So as I said, we can write HTML codes in between PHP um, tag like this. So let me try to use something like the print line, that the new line that you are talking, or something like forward slash then n like this. Am I lying?
Yeah, something like either
Then we have
forward slash
forward
or
slash
something.
T for tab.
Yeah,
I think we can do that. And we can also
yeah.
have different ways of, we have different ways of doing that. In
Okay,
PHP, you can add HTML codes. So for example, if I want to center this word, I can put them inside a center tag. So center like this, then I will close the center here like this. So I can include PHP tag, HTML codes inside this um, PHP codes to display. So I'll save
okay.
it. Then so refresh. So you can see that
I
my hello
I
world is
used
Yeah,
at the center.
I used that and it was working.
yeah.
You can use break, HTML tag
Okay.
break to do, and it will work.
Break. Yeah. Okay.
With this, I can give it a style. So let's look at when we have to use the single quote and the double quote. So in our normal HTML, when we use style, we use double quote like this. But you
Sir,
can
you're
see
going
that
fast.
this double quote,
Sir, you're going fast. Oh. Sir, you're going fast.
okay, I'm trying to say that we want to see where we can use the single quote and then the double quote. And from our HTML class, we know that when you use style equal to we use double quote. So when I try to use double quote, it will conflict with this double quote outside. So it will try to separate this and it will separate this one, the rest. So to avoid that, we can use the single quote here. It's recommended that we use the single quote. Please hope you understand.
So, so you use the single quote. I learned the first one. When you use a single quote, it means it's not the how do you call the header, or it's not the title,
No,
right? Or what?
not like that. In trying to echo an information, we can use the single quote or the double quote. But in this situation that we find ourselves, we want to use the double quote inside the echo or the information that we want to display. And this time, when I try to use a double quote, it will conflict, this single quote, double quote inside will conflict with the external ones.
Okay.